TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, what does it mean and should you care? Let's take a look here at some of the outstanding news articles on the subject. There you see exactly the regions that it will be encompassing and beyond. TPP will not get passed unless fast track authority has been granted, and it has as of 24 hours ago. Basically, general support for TPP. Look at Vietnam there as being one of the top areas of support as a good thing for TPP. Why? Because Vietnam is strategically placed in a location that will allow it to be a shipping and receiving hub and an area of high amount of manufacturing growth, IT growth, medical, all sorts of areas in Vietnam. Now, why is Vietnam important? Because of the fact that it is so undeveloped, and the leadership in Vietnam is now open to opening that country up more, just as in Burma. And the only thing really holding Vietnam back for the future is the fact that it doesn't have a great deal of natural resources, and the landmass of Vietnam is quite small, but that doesn't discourage people from seeing the potential there. Myself being down there, I can tell you that there is a great deal of potential there. Infrastructure needs to be upgraded badly, but there is a large volume of labor, cheap labor, that will allow TPP to be initially successful in Vietnam. Now, we're not saying that TPP is bad for all of the stakeholders involved. We're just saying that TPP will most likely be bad for you, my subscribers. The other countries listed there are also going to be involved in TPP, which will probably go through with fast track authority in the very near future. Overall, 49% of Americans say that TPP would be a good thing for their country, while 29% think it would be a bad thing. Who are these 49% when they realize that TPP is simply a guise? TPP, I'll put it to you real simple so you understand it. It is a trade-off. Manufacturing jobs for financial services jobs. That is all that it is. The remaining blue-collar manufacturing jobs and skilled labor jobs going from the West to the Far East. And tit for tat, the financial jobs from the big banks going from some of the Western areas in the EU, Canada, USA, and so on, to Indochina. That is what it is in a nutshell. Trading manufacturing jobs for financial jobs. Is TPP unconstitutional? You bet it is, but nobody seems to understand the fact that the United States government, the federal government, is a corporation and has been for many, many years. You can talk to some of the top lawyers in the world, talk to some of the top law professors in the world, and they will tell you in confidence that Washington, D.C. is an entity all its own. How can it be unconstitutional then if in fact it is not part of the United States? It is a compact with international powers that has nothing to do with you locally in your state. United States has been hijacked, and they're making trade deals and other types of deals that you have absolutely no power in stopping, because again, it is a separate entity. Okay, the federal government's a separate entity than what you perceive as being the United States. I suspect that it's probably the same way in your country, wherever you're at. But basically, more capital creates more commerce. That is true. But when these financial services jobs come in, and we have all kinds of credit default swaps, and we have derivatives, and we have all of these junk bond deals with these countries that don't have the ability to maybe comprehend what they need in the long run, what's going to happen? These economies are going to boom, then bust, boom, then bust, boom, then bust. And the banking cartel is going to make out like bandits. That's simply what it's been for all free trade agreements around the world throughout the history of time. How to suck wealth from one part of the world to the other and make money on the fluctuations, the boom and bust cycles. That is simply what it is. Basically, why the TPP agenda is straight out of Alice in Wonderland, because it is almost unbelievable. But with these cats, you can believe anything, because they will go to any means to get their way. A corporate coup d'etat, you bet it is, and there are many statistics that will prove this. The Trade and Services Agreement adds additional barriers to proposed legislation. 51 countries, including every advanced economy except the BRICS, okay? Except the BRICS. Now, you know the BRICS. Russia, China, India, Brazil, South Africa, they're against these types of moves, and that's why this trade agreement doesn't include them, okay? It's an exclusive club, and you're not invited. Remember George Carlin used to say that. So true indeed. One area of concern, obviously, is the fact that for 5 or 6 years, we can't find out what's in the TPP and other free trade agreements coming out. It is top secret for 5 or 6 years. That should tell you all you need to know, that there's something sinister in these legislations, okay? We forgot to include that VAT tax in the TPP will expire. So there is a clock running on any kind of tax on import exports for the TPP. They need, the big corporations and the governments need to have slave labor. They need to have cheap goods manufactured so that they can sell to the rest of the world, and they don't want VAT taxes in these countries that they're going to exploit. So what do? To get these bills passed, what they do is they promise that there will be tariffs and there will be taxes, yet they expire. Read the fine print. There has been some leaked information about this, and you should be very concerned about it, because this is like exporting China 2.0, because not only is it going to affect America, Canada, and EU, but it's going to affect China, because a lot of these manufacturing jobs are going straight south. So it will affect them. Even China, with their robot factories, won't be able to compete with the level of slave labor that is going to come out of Indochina. Donations made by Business Coalition for TPP. Look at that. Goldman Sachs, by far. UPS, Citigroup, FedEx, Coca-Cola, Boeing, GE, Pfizer, Northrop Grumman. All of these companies listed here are not your friends. They do not have your best interest in mind, obviously. This is to set up the next pump and dump to keep this house of cards going. And anybody that thinks that they're going to have any kind of advantage from what is the 60 votes that were given to pass fast track for TPP, and what they did, by the way, was they basically put guns to the heads of the members that did not vote on this the first time. So we can only imagine what happened behind the scenes. But basically, it will improve the lives of many Vietnamese and other Cambodians and people in Laos and other countries. In Manila, there are call centers now that are doing a lot of the work that India was doing, simply because India has labor that is too expensive, right? Their slaves are too expensive. But in Manila, in Philippines, they are still at a price and an English ability level that can pass, okay? And that's not all. A lot of the copy that you read online on the internet comes straight out of Manila, and I know this for a fact because I've talked to companies that are involved in this. When you read a news story, it's not even being written by a slack-jawed idiot in your own country. It's farmed out to the Philippines and other countries and written for pennies on the dollar per article. That may be why most of these news stories that you see online are complete rubbish. Any more questions about TPP, just list it below. But basically, in a nutshell, again, trading the world's manufacturing jobs for financial jobs. New bubbles set up to explode.